Welcome to EntreProgrammers Podcast, the podcast for developreneurs, with your hosts, Josh Earl, Derek Bailey, and John Sonmez, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
Hey, Josh Earl here with a quick message from our sponsor, Signal Leaf. Look, doing a podcast is a lot of work. The last thing you need is a podcast hosting service that makes you jump through a bunch of hoops just to get your episodes published. My co-host Derek created Signal Leaf with one goal in mind: to build the easiest podcast hosting service out there. It's the simplest way to get your new podcast up and running quickly and without any hassle. If you're thinking of starting your own podcast, just use Signal Leaf. Then you can get back to polishing the lyrics for your own official podcast rap song.
All right, we're live.
Alarms probably have a lot. I imagine a lot of people in Hawaii have trouble with their alarms.
It can be hard. Having been there a few times, it's hard to care about time and schedules and things like that.
Yeah.
My professor in college had a clock, and all the numbers had fallen off, and they were like kind of all in the bottom of the clock face, and it said, "Who cares?"
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, I don't know what happened to my Android phone. Like, I must have hit the widget that turned it off or something.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't check it last. Or I thought there was an alarm, but it must not have been, like, activated or something.
You need to get John a wind-up clock.
Yeah.
Technology stuff.
But I made it. So.
Yeah.
You're here, yay!
Dude, we need a backup plan for because one of you guys needs to be able to record the Hangout just in case. I mean, I could get hit by a bus too. So.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to figure it out if you didn't show up. So
yeah. Oh, okay.
We would have got it done, but
yeah.
You know.
So what's going on with you guys this week? We've got a lot to talk about, I think.
Yeah.
We've been emailing a lot on the list there.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, John, I want to hear about your book actually. So, was that after after the email went out, the early access email?
Oh yeah, that was so that was, I mean, that the book rankings are for September 12th. So I'm guessing it's as of September 12th, but I think that ranking came out like on the 17th or something.
Okay.
But my book was number 1 on the MEEP. So I'm not sure. I mean, I guess we'll see when the next rankings come out, but I'm not sure how many books MEEP during that time.
Right.
Or how significant that is. But but if the next ranking comes out and then it was in this number 1 again, then it would be pretty significant. I would say.
Right.
But yeah. But either way, it's encouraging. Like.
Do you have an idea of how many pre-orders, MEEP sales you've had?
I don't know. I've been trying to get. I need to ask the publisher again, but I'm guessing it's around 1,000.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it continues like that, that would be pretty dang good. And then, I mean, I haven't even done the real effort into the launch. Like I plan on doing a launch like they've never seen before.
Right.
For a book.
Right. Yeah.
Most authors really have no idea how to do a launch, and we've launched products before. So I'm gonna really when it's coming to print, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna create a group, like probably won't be a Facebook group like Pat Flynn had done, but just a group of people that are willing to review the book and keep them all updated on the launch sequence, and try to get like 100 or so reviews on launch day on Amazon.
Right.
I'm going to do a bunch of like blog posts. I'm going to try to hit guest posts and stuff, and I'm going to try and get a whole bunch of email lists to get some, either an ad on the email list or like a guest email or some kind of thing to try and really get the reach out there.
Nice. That'll be pretty sweet. Definitely, I would fire up your podcast list too and crank through that.
Yeah, I figured. I mean, I think I've been saving to get on .NET Rocks for when the book launches.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, I'm almost sure they'll say yes.
Mm-hmm.
You've been on there how many times now? I mean.
Yeah, I've been on there like 4 times, and then the last time, like I said, was a record number of comments that they've ever gotten. It's like 180 comments on that.
Yeah.
So that should definitely ensure that I should be able to get on there. So, but that would be pretty huge if I can line up a couple of those for the release.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of podcast, I listened to Hansel Minutes this morning, and it's Craig that we had on the show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So he got his interview with Hansel Minutes up now. It's a pretty good show. He talks about why you need frameworks and why you need something more than just raw JavaScript and where JavaScript is heading. And some pretty interesting stuff. I thought it was a really good episode, actually.
Cool. Nice. He's going to get some nice sales out of that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, definitely. he's got a 20% discount going for people that are listening to the show as well.
Yep.
There's a link in the Hansel Minutes episode.
Oh, that's
nice.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. So, yeah, what else has been going on? I've been working on this consulting stuff this week and starting to get that fired up.
How's it going?
So it's been really interesting. It's been definitely, I'm way outside of my comfort zone. Way outside of my comfort zone.
Right.
I've tried a few things. So I'm not sure what niche I'm going to focus on yet. So I signed up for a course with Perry Marshall's group, where they're basically kind of give you a system to help you get started as a consultant with locally based businesses, not necessarily like local businesses, necessarily in your area, but businesses that are more regional, like brick and mortar type of things. And so I've been like going through all that material, and I know I can do it. I know I can make this work. I've been going back and forth about what niche to target, and I'm either going to target I think either chiropractors, or another niche that this works really well with is dentistry, actually, like cosmetic dentists, because you need to find people who have a really high per customer value, so that they can afford the advertising to bring people.
That makes sense.
So in this course they recommend like lawyers are good to work with, cosmetic dentists, chiropractors, roofers, like basement remodeling and home construction. So I've kind of gone back and forth, tried to decide what niche to pick, and I initially started with chiropractors, and I emailed about 7 or 8 different chiropractors this week, which was really stressful. Like I just cold emailed them. Tried to find, like what I did was they're all local, so tried to at least have something useful in the email. So, some little tidbit that I noticed about their website that they could do better, and then kind of go into my pitch from there. And oh my gosh, it was tough. I felt like a total spammer. But so on Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday, I emailed 5 different people, and was shocked within a couple of hours somebody emailed me back. One of the chiropractors emailed me back, and
nice.
He's interested. I don't have him signed up yet.
Right.
But he is interested, so I proposed a pilot project for him to do with him. So we're going to spend a certain amount on ads, and he'd pay me upfront. He'd pay me upfront a big setup fee, and then the deal was if I don't get him the results that he wants, then I don't cash his check. Right. So like a 30-day pilot program type of thing.
Right. That's a pretty good way to start.
Yep.
Man, nice job, Josh. You definitely have a gun to your head.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah,
you're
awesome.
not going to screw around with somebody else's money like you are with me.
Yeah, so this will be really interesting. I thought he disappeared on me for a while. I hadn't heard back from him for a day or so, and then he emailed me again this morning, and he's
he's looked at some other marketing firms, and he's looked at some of the big, like with the big marketing firms, like the one he's looking at is web.com, which, I mean, what could go wrong with a name like that, right?
But let me tell you what can go wrong with a name like that.
Okay.
They own the second worst domain name registrar of all time, Network Solutions.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Yes, they're a just awful company.
Okay. Well, I haven't heard. Yeah, I'd honestly never heard of web.com before.
They're basically just a giant holding tank. They hold a whole bunch of other businesses related to web development stuff.
So they've got this local leads package, and what they do, basically what these big companies do is it's a lead in. They use Google AdWords and other pay-per-click advertising as a stopgap to get people suckered into long-term SEO contracts that don't really work, but you pay them month after month after month.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly what they do with Network Solutions too.
And they can't, and you're kind of stuck because there's no way to prove it's not working.
Right.
Right.
It's like insurance policy. You don't want us to drop your SEO, do you?
Yeah.
You're not paying us.
That's a nice SEO you got there. It'd be a shame if anything
You go from 10 to 11.
So he's been looking at, this guy just happened to be shopping for a internet marketing consultant at the time when I emailed him. So so we're going back and forth, and it's been really, I mean, even if I don't land him, it's been really useful. He's given me some really good detail about his business.
Right.
I kind of know the economics. I understand the economics better, and what how much he has to actually get out of the deal to make it worthwhile. So this has been, oh my gosh, it's been I have had trouble eating. I've had trouble eating because when I get nervous, my body starts to shut down. There was a period in college where I hardly ate anything for months at a time because I was just really stressed out. And this week has been just tough, man. It's every morning I'm waking up and I'm just okay, got to do this, and so I think from here I'm actually thinking that I'm going to look. So I've been looking at the chiropractic niche, and it's definitely seems like it's more crowded. There are marketing companies, a lot of the chiropractors' websites seem like they're put on by marketing companies who already offer some sort of pay-per-click.
Right.
And I don't think they're doing a good job with it, but based on the ads that I see, but it's definitely going to be tough to pry people away from an existing deal, especially if there's SEO tied into it and all that stuff. So I'm kind of looking at, I've been looking at the cosmetic dentistry thing, and those people, they definitely seem like there's less market saturation as far as other marketers targeting them. So I'm kind of thinking I'm going to start there. And my plan is I'm going to try, initially I'm going to target people who are already using AdWords and not doing a good job. So I'm going to go city by city, search for cosmetic dentistry and related keywords, pull people who are using AdWords but not using it very well, and then use direct mail probably to target them. So I'll send them a hand-addressed envelope, addressed to the doctor, so hopefully it gets to him and not his secretary.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to make him an offer that I'll do a free review of his AdWords account, and if I don't find at least 3 ways that he can cut his expenses, I will donate $100 to his favorite charity. So I'm going to try to get in the door with that. And that will at least let me get a good look at some AdWords accounts, see what's working, see what's not. I know I can help. I know based on what these accounts are doing, I know I can find at least a half a dozen ways that they could do better. So one of the biggest things almost nobody does is you just use a landing page. It's really standard, but most people just send traffic to their homepage, and it doesn't convert. And these companies like web.com and a lot of the other ones, what they do is they sign you up, and then they give you to a junior account rep who's had 2 weeks of AdWords training and a checklist, and then they're all SEO people, so they're like, okay, let's find every freaking keyword in the book that could have anything to do with this business, throw them all in one big account, and then they just send a bunch of clicks to the site. and the site owner goes, this isn't working for me, and they're like, exactly, that's why you need SEO. So it's like they're using it as a feeder to get people into the SEO. So
Retainer fee.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, and they also mark up the pay-per-click. Like they pay Google, so they take about, I've heard up to 50%. Like a lot of these companies will mark up the advertising by as much as 50%. So yeah. So
that's interesting. See, that there's a secondary here that I didn't want to interrupt you, but the fact that you're like doing this stuff and you're feeling nervous all the time about it, like this is great because I mean, regardless, like to me the underlying thing is developing boldness, which is way more important than anything else. I mean, in the long run, it's like you keep on doing things that make you feel uncomfortable. Pretty soon, nothing will make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Or
The fact that you feel uncomfortable will give you motivation to move forward because you know you'll be able to get to newer and better places.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll be a trigger point because most people never get past that. It's like, man, they're like they got that butterflies in their stomach, and they're like, man, I'm never getting into school play again.
Yeah.
Never going to be a flower. And then, and that's it. But then if you push through, then someday you'll be a tree, you know, and then
maybe eventually you'll be a cow and you'll get to say moo. You know, you keep working your way up the high school theater ladder, and eventually.
But no, that's great. I mean, that's really the awesome thing. It's just to be able to push through that and see.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think I'm trying to keep it for right now. I'm trying to keep it all written, keep the communication written as much as possible, so that I can. Because right now I think if I got on a phone call, I'd probably melt down. I need more time to rehash, kind of rehash all the selling points and remember, learn the arguments that I'm going to be making and stuff. So, but yeah, this back and forth with this chiropractor has been great because it's really, I mean, he's definitely, I think we've emailed each other like 4 times now, and he's come up with some good objections, so I've gotten a good feel for what types of things I'm going up against. And so it's been, oh my gosh, it's been like, I know this is what I want to do, and the resistance that I've been feeling has been pretty strong.
Yeah.
So, but
well, that means you need to go that direction.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You can use resistance as a compass.
Yeah, I feel like yes, I know. I feel like I've been kind of running away, kind of feel like I've known I've needed to do something like this for a long time, and I just feel like I'm just throwing myself off the deep end. Like I signed up for that, like I said, I signed up for that course with Ray Marshall's group, so I know I have the backing. Like I know they're a safety net for me, and when I start to land some of these accounts, like they're going to be able to, if something goes wrong, like I have experts on tap that I can, that can help me. So I feel like I'm just like running up to the edge of the cliff and jumping off and trusting that the wings will extend or there'll be a bungee cord or something. So, yeah.
Nice.
I am all in on this.
Awesome.
So that's been.
Don't forget us little guys.
I will not. I haven't. So that's been pretty cool. I mentioned, so I did my first copywriting assignment. I think this happened last week, but I wasn't here for the call. I did my first copywriting assignment, and I can't talk too much about the specifics of it, but it was so one thing. So really doing that exercise, it was, again, really stressful, but the product, like I read the sales page that I was going to be, I was rewriting a sales page basically, and I read it, and I was like, holy cow, like this guy, he knows his stuff, and this is a really good product. Like I could tell this guy has, I found a photo of him online with Joe Polish, who is really, really well-known direct marketer. He's like the carpet cleaning king. He basically learned direct marketing and then built this empire of a carpet cleaning business, and now he teaches other people how to build like their carpet cleaning businesses. He's a really, really well-known guy. Like he like trained with Gary Halbert and stuff. So
thanks.
So anyway, so this the guy that wrote the sales page, or the guy whose product this was, I found a picture of him with Joe Polish. Like, so this guy has invested some serious work into learning how to build this product that he that I was helping him to market. And like once I realized that, like and I realized that this product really solved a real problem, the whole thing just flowed. And it was an amazing experience, like so different than everything else I've tried to write. It's like when you're actually selling something that you believe in, and that you think is like phenomenal, it's so much easier.
Right.
So much easier. So, and then I handed that in, so I wrote it, I handed it in, and I got asked to do a rewrite on the intro, because it was kind of, so when I first started it, I wasn't in the groove yet. I don't think I was fully convinced on this product yet, and it came through in the intro. It just was kind of bloodless.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I'd been through the whole thing and kind of bought into it, I rewrote the intro, and it was, my mentor said it was way better. So, yeah, so that, well, I'll keep plugging away on that. I haven't gotten another sales page assignment. I've been doing some articles and stuff for him. So.
Well, that's good. I mean, I think things will come out of that for sure too.
Yeah. And then what else here? So my Smart Passive Income post on Pat Flynn's blog about the contest. So I've gotten, I had put a call to action at the bottom. That's to sign up for my mailing list to get the discount code for the King Sumo plugin. I've gotten 363 signups from that so far. So the open rate on the email is like 81%. So I think probably people are going to buy the plugin.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I asked Noah to shoot me an email with a total on the commission on that. So I don't know that yet, but
right.
Should be a pretty decent little chunk of nice little windfall.
I think so. It should be. I mean, hopefully we don't overblow this one like the email list contest.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, you should be able to count on something at least, right? I mean, you're going to get something. It'll be worth the time you spend on the article at least. Let's say that.
Yep.
Hopefully it'll be better than my little experiment with an ad in my newsletter this week.
Yeah, that was very disappointing.
Horribly. I mean, last week I put my 5 rules for mastering JavaScript this, and I sold like 12 copies. And that was at the very bottom of the email. So I put this week's little blurb at the very top, and I sold one.
Well, I had some thoughts on that. I mean,
honestly, I think my book is at the end of its life.
Well, hold on, guys. This is where I object to what you guys have been saying, because the thing. Well, okay, with the email list, right? You just sent it last week, so the exposure of people that open it was already. I mean, you probably, when you haven't done anything and then you display the ad for it, you get the maximum exposure because people hadn't seen it's new. But then they were a little desensitized. So the fact that the most eager people bought it, the 12, right, to get one sale.
But that was a different book.
What's that? It
was a different book last week.
Oh, it was a different book, so it wasn't the same. Okay. That I guess that's you still have that effect though of the first time that someone's seen an ad in it.
Most of my emails have had an ad in them though. It's not like this is a brand new thing for me. I've had Watch Me Code advertised at the bottom of my weekly emails for a couple of months now, and I've just recently been switching it up so it's not just Watch Me Code ads; it's other things.
So maybe it is a placement to some degree. Then I mean, you're only going to be able to farm so much out of the list at any given time. It depends too on how many free writer signups that you have, because I suspect you have in your email list. You've got a lot of, and I do to some degree in mine, of people that will never ever purchase anything because they're in a country where the pricing is just like where they're not used to buying things, digital products or anything.
Well, even for people that are in the U.S., I think the majority of my subscribers right now came in through one of the free things that I did, like the email courses that I have. So, and I've been giving away all this information on my blog and in the email list and everything. And so there's a lot of people that are probably on there just looking for all of the free information and don't really care about the for sale products.
Right, right. But as far as like books or like our digital the end of life of them, like I don't think your book is the end of life just simply because your market saturation. Like you have to look at how big is the market and how much saturation do you have on the market for a product to be end of life. Like none of the product, like HP has products that go the end of life. Like, you know, big companies do, but we don't have products that go end of life simply because our market saturation is we never have the market penetration that is possible. I mean, there are, you know, millions of developers out there. There's millions of JavaScript developers out there. Like the number of people that have even been exposed to your book with one exposure is probably like at best like 50,000 at best, right? So that's what I'm saying is like it's you might have hit the saturation for your circle of influence,
right?
But that doesn't mean that you've actually hit the saturation. So
that's fair.
It's a matter of, yes, it's going to be harder to reach the people you haven't reached yet, but
is it going to be worth it? That's another question.
Right.
Yeah, that's a question. I mean, that's ultimately like how can you, if you can reach people easier or not, right? And then building things up over time is that's where I think also is, you know, I've been thinking about this a lot, is as your audience grows and you build your audience, right? That's you always have to be doing things that are building your audience, which you're doing, right? But then the more products that you have, the more things that you're going to match up, and then everything kind of grows together, right? As your audience grows and your reach grows and your SEO grows and your website, then you're going to be able to reach more people. You have more ability to penetrate into the market, and then if you have more product, then you have more things you can sell, more things per customer, more things that are likely to match up with people. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that it's time to, like, for any of us to say that our products are dead or that digital products are not, you know, it's not possible to make money off of. I think the key distinction is that it's not possible to to make money off of digital products at this point, or even, you know, yeah, I guess still books would be digital products, but it's not possible to just throw up like ads and landing pages and with it. You know, the only way to really make money at it now is to actually have an audience or to be able to like get an enormous reach for very low cost.
Right.
That's my rant.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, hey Derick, if you go to let me drop this link in the chat.
Okay.
If you go to Google Trends and look at Backbone.js, you'll see something very interesting.
Oh.
And this is kind of what I've been bumping up against too, which is
it's been tanking in the last year and a half because of Ember and Angular, and I've known that for a while now.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty significant, like that is a serious downward trend. I mean basically down to the interest levels, down to where, you know, basically where it was in like 2011.
Right.
So
what's really interesting on this curve is if you look at my history in Backbone.js, I pretty much got on board with it right as it was starting to climb.
Yep. And you know what?
Late 2010.
I did the same thing with Sublime. If you look at Sublime, it has leveled off. It's not a growing market anymore.
Right.
I rode the growth up, and it is basically leveled off now. I'm looking at that too. Yeah. I mean, basically since like 2000 since like this time, or since summer of last year, it's basically been level. I mean, it's bounced up and down, but it's not growing anymore. And I think that's definitely been, you know, a contributing factor to all the stuff that we've observed, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier to make money in a growing market.
Yeah. But that's the thing is, like, I don't know, like I think the big strategy for that you have to focus on is not necessarily, like, you can't have one-hit wonders. I mean, you can, but
Right.
But what you need to do is like, I mean, the growth of your permanent presence, like the things that put bricks in your walls, like I always say, is you're building growth that's a permanent, sustained growth. Like the biggest example I always, or that I focus on for me, is I've got a couple of these, like the Simple Programmer blog, my YouTube channel, right? Even like our podcasts and stuff. These are things that exponentially grow over time, and like as your audience increases over time. I mean, if like if my Simple Programmer blog is now getting about like 3,000 views a day, that's huge. And if that gets to 6,000, that'll be a bigger like whatever I launch from there will have a bigger impact. The email list is another one. It's like these things. The growth is small on them, but it's exponential, right? Because as those things, and they compound over time. So I mean, the thing is, like, just because you're seeing discouraging sales results doesn't mean that you're not having an impact, because you're investing into the core, which is the growth of this empire. And I mean, for example, if you get to a point where you have a blog that gets like 20,000 page views a day, and you have a couple of other outposts there that are getting constant traffic, then whatever you sell into that, I mean, you can then find something to sell into that market that is going to generate a profit. Even if you just are running ads at that point, you can survive on that. Like it's just I wouldn't get discouraged and like change directions and say, well, digital products don't work and all this. It's all relative to how much of the market that you can penetrate, how much, and then also how much that you have not just a following, but like where the people are on your following, because it kind of has to be seasoned, because you get a bunch of new people on your email list, right? They're like, I don't really know who this guy is or whatever, but the people that have been following you for like 2 or 3 years, when you launch something or they're going to buy your product. Like they're much more likely to. So it takes some time to get them over from that cool to the warm to the hot, and and certain people are going to drop off. I mean, you get 10 new people that are on your blog or your email list or whatever. Maybe only one of them out of 10 is ever going to become that 2-year follower. So I think there's a huge amount of that it's just like, efforts sometimes they feel like they're being wasted, but if it's going towards that growth of growing those outposts and those, growing that thing that's permanent, putting those bricks in your wall, then it's really not a waste. So yeah, I don't know. I've been thinking a lot on that, and that's kind of where I've come up to is every time you're doing something, or you're doing something that will have a future impact, even if it doesn't have a monetary impact now, because it's really easy to measure the monetary impact now and say, oh man, this is discouraging. But it's like you got to project it 5 years out and say, is this growth, like the growth in my audience, the growth in these kind of permanent growth things, is that going to be something that I can utilize later, even if it's not generating me the income now?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess, yeah, for me though, like I've been thinking about like just the idea of equity, and like my book is not, it's not even remotely passive at this point. I haven't been working on it this month so far, but my sales have declined. I'm sure that if I do nothing next month, my sales will decline even more. So it's not passive. It's basically hourly work, and it's not something that's grown at all.
Well, they'll decline to a point, right? Like, and then they'll stabilize off, which is going to be based on however big your kind of empire is, right? Because you've got certain web presences, you have a few outposts. They're not as big as they could be, but people will find them through search. Like, LeanPub is one. Like, people will always stumble on it through LeanPub. Like, there's going to be places, and if you put no effort in, the thing it'll cut in half, but it will find a stopping point where it's the self-sustainability, where you're reaching new people just via the Google highway, right? That are going to automatically, like, you've got the thing in place. So
yeah, but that's probably going to be around $300 or $400 a month.
No, it's not even that for me. It's like $30 or $40 a month for my book sales right now.
For Backbone?
Yeah.
Without, yeah. So like it's not, yeah, and this is kind of what I've just been thinking a lot about is that it definitely is. It's a bit of a treadmill. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
This is the problem that you've noted over and over again in the email list, Josh, with people like Nathan Barry who have realized that informational products like this are a constant treadmill. You have to be producing the next piece of content in order to keep people coming back and to keep the income coming along. And I'm largely facing the same problem with Watch Me Code.
Right.
You know, even if I do have new content, which I'm producing new content now and getting things set up through the end of the year, you know, that's not enough anymore. It has to be, you know, content of a certain quality and a certain type and a certain value, and I have to do a certain amount of marketing, and I have to do, there's a constant treadmill for producing content and being able to sell content because there's just so dang much content out there. It's really easy to get lost in the mix, and you got to do something really special these days in order to set yourself apart.
Right.
Well, here's what you got to do, though. This is what I'm saying: is you don't have you're special. Don't focus so much on the outcome. Focus on what you do, right? I mean, just the fact your blog, right? You're coming on podcasts, like all the stuff that you're doing, that you're putting out there. This show, right? All of this stuff is what's going to attract you an audience and build you an audience. And as that audience grows, as long as you're like mentioning your stuff, you know, you don't even have to be like in their face, but as long as you're mentioning your stuff frequently enough, the people are going to come in and buy it. It's just, it's not going to be the kind of income that somebody needs to live off of, though. I mean, the information products that I have, the ebooks and the screencasts and whatnot, it's great for side income, for side projects. It gives me that little extra bump, you know, however often it does, and that's awesome. Right now, I do rely on Watch Me Code as a fairly significant portion of my income. I don't know how long that's going to last, but I'm relying on it right now. It's not likely going to be my full or even primary income ever, and I'm okay with that. I don't think the things that Josh and I are saying are counter to what you're saying, John. I think they are in addition to what you're saying. You're absolutely. Sorry,
we've got short-term goals, you know.
Yeah.
Like we've got goals for the next 2 years, a year or two.
For this month.
We need to build our audiences too, but
right. Audience building is a long-term thing, and yes, we are building our audience. Yes, we are continuing to get our name out there. Yes, we're doing everything that you're saying, but that doesn't help the short term. That doesn't help. I need to pay rent this month. That helps.
But you can't. 10
years from now, that will help pay for rent. Right. That doesn't help right now.
And that's where you got to be. Well, that's where you got to be looking, because you can't short circuit the system. That's all I'm saying is, like, you can, the efforts that you choose to short circuit the system will be efforts that don't build anything long term, right? I mean, you can. It's always
can't just look at the long term either. If you're only looking at the long term, you better damn well be a millionaire sponsored by all your real estate investments. Otherwise, you're never going to be able to pay rent and keep your family going.
Well, but see, that's a great example, because see, my first business was real estate, right? And that was long term. From when I first started that thing, right? I bought my first house. I was working a job and doing the real estate on the side, and I did that for like over 10 years, 14 years before
my point
it finally.
You were working a job and doing that, so you weren't just relying on that. You had a job right now. You had income that was paying for whatever it is you needed to pay for, as well as paying for the investment in the real estate.
And that's what I'm saying, like, and we're all in that position, except for, I mean, I guess I'm not in that position now, but you both are in that position, right? So what I'm saying is like, in your specific situation, Derek, you have a consulting job, right? You have a freelancing business. Like, it may take a while before these other things that are more passive or more entrepreneurial, that you build enough of an audience, that you build them up enough to be able to transition off. It might be 5 years. It might be 10 years, and don't worry about, like, don't think that you're going to, like, sell this product and then all of a sudden you're going to start making your full-time income from the thing. And if you're not, then how minuscule is this? Because it's going to grow over time. It's going to take that. I guess I'm just, I'm not trying to be like, just a whatever. But I'm just saying, like, all the effort that you're investing into it is worthwhile. It's just you're not going to see the results for a time. Like, you feel like you're not. If you're judging your results financially, then it's going to look like a failure. You're going to be discouraged, right? But if you're judging your results like, man, look at percentage growth in audience. Like, I'm getting more people on my email list. More people are visiting my blog. Like, those are the real numbers to grow, and those are the real things that count. Because even if it's not this product, anything that you launch into that is going to be, because you're actually building something that doesn't depend on the market conditions. That doesn't depend on other things. It's a permanent foothold in the market. So that's all I'm saying is I'm just saying, like, don't worry about the results so much, and just if you focus on those things, it's going to steer you in the wrong direction, because you're going to keep on switching directions and thinking that you need to do a bunch of advertising and marketing in order to be able to hit those income goals. I'm not saying not to do any advertising or marketing, but I'm just saying that it's not a real, like, look further long term, and you're gonna. I mean, you will build that business. You are gaining audience. Like, the metrics that really matter, I'm seeing you're growing in.
My whole point in all of that is you can't just look at the long term, though. You have to balance that against your actual needs for this month's rent and food and everything else.
Right.
And there are times, in addition to that, there are times when a product, a niche, a group, a whatever it is, will become unviable. I mean, Backbone might be on its way out at this point, and it might not be worth my time and effort.
Right.
It may be time for me to drop that, to just leave it where it is, to not get rid of it, because it sells a couple a month. That's fine. So leave it where it is and let it run its complete course, but not put a significant amount of effort into it anymore.
Totally agree with that. Put the more effort into the blog, into the audience, into the thing. I wouldn't agree with that if you said maybe Watch Me Code I should leave behind, because you've got significant traction and income from that, and that could grow exponentially.
Declining as well.
Well, but it's not really declining, because you don't have
enough.
It
is constantly declining. I've lost 50 subscribers in the last 3 months.
But that doesn't mean anything, because you had a big influx from when you first launched. So that period hasn't settled out yet, right? Because the new people that come, I mean, there's different ways that you get the subscribers. When you first launch something and you get a bunch of people, right? Those people are not necessarily going to be. They weren't coming and looking for the thing that you have. Right. But the newer people that you get now, the subscribers, they should be a little bit more sticky, because they were actually looking for what you had. It wasn't a big launch thing. There wasn't a and a lot of people will be coming in from your audience that will have a little bit more loyalty. Like,
I don't know, 'cause
really just,
like, membership sites have a pretty well-defined churn rate, and Derick's is right in line with what I've heard other membership sites have, which is about 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I think that if you're still, Derick, are you still right around there? Do you know? Or
I don't have my Barometrics account anymore, so I can't tell at this point.
Yeah. So anyway, like, for me, I mean, just what I'm seeing a lot of people doing is using information products as a lead-in to higher-end stuff, like services or consulting, and that's kind of the direction that I'm heading. I need to get the consulting experience first before I can really, make any information products. about about the direction that I'm heading, about marketing. But yeah, like if you don't have a high-end back end to it, I mean, like Perry Marshall's funnel, if you look at it, he's got books that he sells for next to nothing on Amazon, and you buy those, and then you get on his email list, and then he starts, he upsells you to $300 to $500 courses, which I've bought a couple of, and then then he's got some really high-end stuff that goes up to $10,000 or $12,000, and that is a viable business. But it's really tough. Like if you're only selling low-end products, then you're constantly doing the new customer acquisition thing, which is the most expensive part of the whole process, and it's the hardest. So.
Right. Well, but this is software as a service, right? I mean, WatchMeCode is this. I mean, it's
not.
It's
information. It's an information.
It's an information product with a subscription, and it is entirely reliant on me generating content.
Right? Well, but it can scale. It can scale to the degree of, like, let's say it's scaled same effort to pilot this thing, but 5-fold increase in revenue or subscribers is quite possible. Right. What I'm saying is that as it grows, it doesn't require more effort, and as your audience grows, as you have more people that are SEO hitting your blog, as you have more people that are finding you through this podcast, through this, this is only episode 31, but imagine when we have 200 episodes, right? And if you have more people that are finding you through podcasts, through all these other things, that it's going to become worth more and more because you're going to have more people signing up, right? And your effort is level is going to be the same in order to produce it. Plus, you'll have a bigger catalog of things, so your actual content, what you're offering for the price, is constantly increasing. I'm not saying that this is going to.
But it's also dropping. It's also dropping off the back end of that stuff becomes irrelevant. That's the issue I have with Sublime. Is like I can't even at this point. I don't even have an autoresponder sequence set up because the emails that I've written get outdated, and then I have them in my autoresponder sequence, and they get a ton of people complaining, oh, there's this better plugin now, it's like just to have an autoresponder sequence for that product would require monthly maintenance, so it's not I'd be and I can't like the one plugin that one of my most popular tips was. This gutter, I think it's called Gutter Color. It was a plugin that would show the color CSS colors in the margin of your. It's really popular. Tons of great feedback on it. 3 months later, there's a new, better, shinier kid, on the block. So now I have to so then I did an email about that, and I didn't have a chance to test it thoroughly because who has time to test a plugin on 3 platforms in multiple versions of Sublime?
Right.
And against SAS and CSS and like all this stuff. And so, you get a bunch of backlash, people complaining on Twitter because I don't have time to test everything to the nth degree before I recommend it. So this stuff ages really fast.
But it's true. I mean, you're always going to face that problem, though. It's not like you're going to just like turn on a switch and you're going to sit back, right? I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, though, it's not as bleak as it. I mean, there is a way, and if you keep on pounding at it, you have to divorce yourself from the results to some degree. I know it's kind of ridiculous to say that, oh, well, you got to pay for food and whatnot, but
I've done that for a year and a half, though, and I deeply regret it. I have ignored the results of this for a year and a half, and have not grown any. All of the work that I put in, I've grown my audience exponentially, and and put a ton of effort and blood, sweat, and tears into it, and zero growth.
But you have grown your audience, right? I mean, that's
but I don't care about growing an audience. I mean, if I had 1 million people on my mailing list, that wouldn't matter if my income was still $600 a month.
But it would matter because here's the thing: Sublime Text. Okay, let's say you had 1 million people on your email list, right? Let's say you had 1 million people in your audience.
That would cost me like $5,000 a month.
Well, okay, but do you not think that there are products that those people would buy?
I have not had any luck trying to offer other things to that list. So
well, but let me put it this way. Let me just ask this question: are there 1,000 products that a million people would buy? Are there at least 1,000 possible products? Do you think that it's that?
Yes, I'm sure there are. Yeah, but if I was maintaining that, at my current rate of work that I'm doing, I cannot produce any of those products.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that, like, if you have the audience that you will have, that you have created the market, and that market, there are products that you can sell into that market. I mean, if you were all gung-ho on Sublime Text, I mean, you're not, right? Not anymore, right? You don't really have the interest of it. But if you really were, like, trying to brainstorm products that you could, and you had the time, and you had the interest, and you have the market, you could definitely make a business out of selling to that, as long as you have the audience. That's all I'm trying to say. Is the audience is the number one thing.
Yes, I agree that the audience is the number one thing for sure. Yeah, I don't know that it seems like the numbers that I have racked up, it really seems like there should be more there than I've been able to get. So I don't know.
Well, I was going to ask you, what happened with John McIntyre?
So we went through. I did my coaching with him. Came up with some really good plans, and I ended up. So that was before I started. Before I started sending out the emails. So when I started sending out emails to my bigger lists and was not getting any results on it, I had just decided I'm not going to put more effort into making more products. And that was basically my plan, was to make some upsell products for that. Mm-hmm. And I decided it's not worth making upsell products. So I'm not planning to do that at this point.
Okay. I was just curious don't get me wrong. I think that the direction that you're going down now is great, and I think that you're going to be successful at it. I just don't want to discount that.
I mean, I could replace, if I can land one client, I will more than replace all of the income I was getting for Sublime.
Right.
So, right, but that's always a trade-off. That, like, the reason why you can do that is, well, okay, the market always prices. There are no arbitrage situations. It's very rare. Like, the market, everything is always priced to market. I mean, that's a general rule to have. Like, yes, there are exceptions, but in general, the reason why you can make more money consulting is because hours that you spend consulting don't build anything except for experience. They don't build, a permanent foothold. The hours that you spend developing a product, that you develop a website or what that, those don't pay as well, but they have leverage. They have compounding effects, and that's why. Well,
that's not really true. So that hasn't been true with Sublime. All the hours and time that I've invested in it has not resulted in anything that is sustainable on its own. Unlike Desk Hacks, which chugs away and gives me $400 a month, for no work. Sublime does not do that, and will not ever do that. Consulting, the type of consulting that I'm looking to do, I will be building an asset in that I will be building a customer base of people who have worked with me.
But at the end of the day, at the end of your career, I should say, when you are looking to retire, what can you sell out of that consulting business other than your name and the random junk sitting on your desk? You have no assets to sell at that point. Because anybody else that wanted to pick up your audience or your business, they would have to rebuild everything about that business from the ground up, because they're not you. They don't have your reputation, your expertise, and your knowledge.
Well, that depends on how you. I mean, that really depends on how you build your consulting business. If you always just want to be a lone wolf, yeah. But if you get to a point like Brendan Dunn, where you build a small agency, and then you're employing people, then that's a completely different story. I'm not sure that's where I want to go.
Yeah, but see, then you're building something. Then you're not trading. Then your dollar value on what you bill for what you spend time on decreases way down, because you have to build an infrastructure. Yeah, I'm just saying that the market prices itself, right? There's a reason why certain things, like, you can always, everything is always priced accordingly.
Yeah, but the pricing on consulting values is based on the value of what you deliver, versus an ebook. I mean, which is also still based on the value of what you deliver, but it has to be pretty darn good, and you need the experience to be able to produce something of that quality. That's part of the problem I'm bumping into is like with Sublime, I don't have like this deep well of experience to draw on. Like, Wes Voss has, he uses it all day, every day, and he knows he can sit down and actually write something relatively quickly, and that's actually a lot more valuable than what I can produce because I don't have the real world scenarios and stuff that I'm solving every day. But yeah, I agree that, like, I mean, if all you do is consult for your whole life and you never save any money and you never invest in anything, that's the key though, and that's not how I live my life. Like, we live below our means, and maybe I never build an info product business. Maybe it's always consulting, but I'm making $200,000 a year and saving 70 of that, or saving 60 of that.
Right. So, and if you're investing that 70 that you're saving in real estate, or something else that, I mean, whatever commodity, whatever you buy will be priced to market, then you will generate something that will generate money that will, that's
Yeah.
And for me, I'm not going to ever say I'm opposed to doing consulting, because then I would have to be opposed to myself doing it. But I completely agree with you when you say you need that deep well of experience to be able to build these products. And that's half the reason I want to continue consulting even when something else becomes tremendously successful, is because I need that level of experience of building products and doing all this stuff for someone else in some other environment, so I can have that knowledge to build from. That's why my 2 years of consulting is why I made $20,000, $18,000 off of my Backbone ebook, is because I built up the experience to be able to build that. It's why Watch Me Code exists and earns me the money that I have, is because I built up the experience in doing JavaScript, and I'm able to translate that information into screencasts. So I'm right there with you on, let's do some consulting and build that experience, and then be able to build something out of that experience. Just as long as, like what John was saying, as long as the consulting isn't the end game.
No.
At least for me, that's important.
Right.
For you, if you realize that, hey, consulting is amazing and you're saving money like you were just talking about, and that's all you want to do with the rest of your life, that's freaking phenomenal. Because if you can do it, more power to you. It's not where I want to be with my career.
Right. And it's just, I mean, take it from two guys that have gone through this before. That's all I'm saying, Josh. Just like, because my dream was I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to become a consultant, independent, myself, freelancer. I did that, and I was like, man, this actually sucks worse than. At first it was awesome, but then it was like, wow, this is actually worse than a regular job, because now
I disagree with that entirely. But.
Well, it's totally
I'd like to hear more about. So why did it suck? I'd like to hear both of your takes on.
So I'll tell you up front, every job sucks.
Right.
Period. End of story. Yeah. It's just a matter of what you're willing to live with.
It sucked because of expectations. To me.
Okay.
Because being free means doing what you want to do, and being a consultant is not doing what you want to do. It's more
being a consultant is what you want to do.
Well, but it's not, because it's not at any given time what you want to do, because you're still bounded by, when you work for someone else, your boss tells you what to do, but you've got a framework in place, and you just show up and you do your thing, and then you go home, and hopefully you don't stress too much at night about it, or you don't have to work ridiculous hours, but you can, but when you're a consultant, then what happens, it's all on you. You got to find the business. You got to, I mean, but you can get, there's like different levels, right? There's a consultancy where you're a free agent, but you basically have one client, right? Then it's a little bit less stressful. It's like working a job, except you have a little bit more power. But then there's the more freelancer consultant where you have multiple clients, but you got to find those clients. You got to get their projects done, right? There's a lot more that's on you. And you're not actually doing, working on just things you want to do. You can say, well, I only pick the projects that I like, but in reality, that doesn't right? So you end up, I mean, it ends up not being a whole lot better than a regular job. I'm not saying it's not better, but it's not the thing that most people that want to quit their job and get out on their own are seeking. And I think, I mean, I'll say this, Derek can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think both myself and Derek figured that out kind of like, at least I had different aspirations of what it would be like to be out on your own. And then I came to realize that, hey, actually what I really wanted was to be able to have some kind of a business where I actually do have the freedom to sort of like work on the projects that are interesting to me. And that's ultimately like, you know, it's to me, like going down the consultant road is a great way to make a lot of money. Like your income is not capped as much as it is as an employee. Like it's kind of up to you, but it's still not going to be as fulfilling as like doing your own, really doing your own thing.
Right.
See, I understand everything you said, and I felt all of that, but I don't necessarily agree with it. For me, consulting, I knew what I was getting into with consulting. My dad has been self-employed and consultant and 1,000 things in my life. He's very much an entrepreneur, so I get my entrepreneurial spirit from my dad, and I've seen it, I've been through it as a child of a consultant and an entrepreneur, so I know what's involved with it. It wasn't expectations that led me away from consulting. It was, hey, I'd like to be able to do more than just consulting, because I found that consulting, while it did have limitations, was significantly better than having a full-time job. I went to work for Telerik for a year, and I loved working at Telerik. It was one of the best jobs I ever had, and I quit. And it had nothing to do with Telerik. It was entirely me. It was, I need to be out there. I need to be doing my own things. I need to be, you know, building my own little empire, whether it's consulting, whether it's, you know, writing code for other people or writing ebooks or building software as a service or whatever it is. You know, these are things that I want to be doing instead. So even when I am in the consulting realm, which is the majority of where my income comes from right now, that's what I want to be doing right now. That is what I want right now. It's not just a temporary means. Eventually I want to cut down on the amount of consulting that I have to do. I don't want it to be my primary source of income, but I don't ever see consulting going away from me, unless for some reason SignalLeaf becomes this hugely, wildly successful thing, and I simply don't have time to do any software development other than SignalLeaf anymore.
Right.
But I don't know if you know, maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't. But it's, for me, it's not. Consulting is not just a means to an end for me. I'm really good at what I do when I'm consulting, and I really like doing it. And I got paid really well to do it too.
Right. I totally would agree with everything that you said. Even like from my perspective, I still do consulting. I still consult at least not now while I'm in Hawaii, but usually it's around 20 hours a month at least, right?
Right.
Which is, but I enjoy doing that, and I can push it off, and I can it's at my schedule, right? It's not the only thing that I'm not sustained by that only, right?
Right.
And that's what I hear you saying, is you don't want to have to be sustained by that only.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's, you know, I'm not trying to paint the bleak. It's definitely better than a real job, a real job, right?
Well, it can. Not
with
everybody's cut out for consulting either.
No, not everyone.
I think our general audience for this podcast probably is. But
if you're seeking freedom,
right,
it's better than a real job.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Like, right, it's worth. It might be harder, but it's worth it. Like most people would say that are seeking those type of things. I'm just saying that it's not as good as what. It's not the level of freedom that some people are looking for, and it by itself, you know, even you're admitting, Derek, that you would rather have the consulting not be the major.
Oh yeah, totally.
Right, and that's all I'm saying.
If all my products and ideas tank, then and I'm a consultant, you know, full time,
yeah,
it's great.
Fine, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I mean, basically, I think my main motivation is just trying to get all my oars rowing in the same direction.
Yeah.
I feel like I've got, 6 oars in the water right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you've ever seen somebody paddling with one oar, you know what happens, and I feel like I'm just
Spinning
sort of
circles and
spinning in circles. Yeah. Yeah.
There's trade-offs to it though. Like the more doors you open and you leave open, the more opportunities that the chance that one of the things will gain traction. You
Yeah.
know, and then but at the same time, like you said, if you're all going in one direction. But my general strategy is to have a lot of doors open at any given time, a lot of oars in the water, and then as soon as one of them really starts to this things are coming through that door, then to point everything, leave a few things open, but point more of my focus into that one direction.
Yeah. Yep. Right. That makes sense.
Which is possible. I mean, look at the biggest example is like desk hacks, right? That's just it's I don't know. I mean, that's the other thing I keep thinking about too. Is like you could have 6 desk hacks. Like it's you kind of stumbled into
I'd probably have to build 60 websites to get that, though.
Yeah.
That would take a long time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And there's really no guarantee. I mean, there's never any guarantee with anything. But Google's making it. I don't really like as much as, even though I'm kind of getting into Google AdWords. Actually, Google AdWords to me is more stable than anything SEO based, because Google makes all of its money from advertising, or 90% of its money from advertising, and they've actually gone a long way toward trying to make it really easy for businesses like I'm targeting to advertise effectively, and they've given them a lot of advantages that the big guys don't have. So it's sort of the opposite. Like with SEO, I guess if you're an SEO consultant, it's nice because Google's always changing the rules, so you never have to deliver results because you can always point the finger at Google. But as far as me basing a business where I'm counting on Google for free traffic, I don't like that. That's not very. And Amazon's the same way. I mean, with my Amazon money could disappear overnight if Amazon just decides that they don't like something I did on Desk Hacks. I'd have no recourse. So
right. Well, and the same is true for Google AdWords. If suddenly they decide that you're doing something wrong, I mean, they can just shut you down.
They can, yeah. But the type, they can. That's true.
There's a high likelihood that it won't happen, though. Cause
the type of businesses that I'm targeting virtually never get slapped. It's basically the Google has paid over $1 billion in fines to the federal government, and the people that get slapped by Google are usually people who have resulted in fines to Google.
Right.
Yeah.
So make money online, that type of industry.
Yeah.
Diet pills and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Those guys get watched like a hawk. But if you're like a brick and mortar business, I haven't seen
not
any
some scammy software service that does podcast hosting. What's wrong with those guys? Jeez.
Yeah.
Whatever road you choose, I've never seen someone that's picked a road that has stuck with that road and given it their all, and not quit, who hasn't succeeded. Like if you quit, you fail, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing. It's like so it doesn't matter. Like like specifically for just my thoughts and advice to you, Josh, is you if you stick down this road, you will be successful.
Yes.
Just don't make the mistake. Like and everyone should keep this in mind. I've made this mistake so many times, but don't make the mistake of switching things too often. Like you got to stick with something, because there's a honeymoon phase, and then it's always pain, and then there's always it's always like to build anything of substantial. It's like 5 years out. Like it's like
look at Signal Leaf. I made $260 of revenue last month with Signal Leaf, and I spent like $600 or $800. And I've been doing that for the last year. It'll be a year in October since it went live to the public. And I don't expect that to change anytime soon, but it is slowly changing. 2 months ago, it was $160. Last month, it was $260. This month, I hope it's going to be over $300. I can see the growth. I can see things moving along. Right now, I'm writing an email to send to all of my existing customers, all 38 of my customers, telling them about
telling them you deleted their data.
Yeah, telling them that you guys are all. So telling them that that I've got a new feature that I just deployed. It makes your life easier for uploading or for specifying the image for your podcast. So there's growth, there's change, there's movement. I've gone through a lot of suck with Signally in the last year, and a lot of I want to stop doing this and do something else. And if I stop and do something else, I'm just going to have to go through all of the same thing again. So why bother stopping? Why do something else when I'm going to face the same challenges, the same issues, and I'm just going to be starting at square one instead of continuing from where I am already?
Right.
So definitely, I totally agree with you on that one, John. It just, whatever the path is, and sometimes you do need to make a few changes, switch careers a few times to really figure out what you actually do want to do with your life. And that's, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as your career is not switching careers.
Right. Exactly.
Don't be a professional student. Get out of college and go do something with your life.
Then you never have to pay your loans back.
That's true.
If you just keep going back to school,
Screw the government. I'll be a student forever and just keep taking out loans.
Right. Exactly.
Don't get me started on student loans.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to get started on that either.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with what you guys are saying, and I just kind of feel like with Sublime, I've given it a good long shot, and I'm ready to move on, try something else here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
something else that can scale up more quickly.
I totally agree with that decision. I just want to point out that just realize that if you devoted 100% of everything to Sublime, you could make that business work. Like it might be 3 years out, but you could be successful. Even if it turned out that you ended up selling products that had nothing to do with Sublime, but just had the common thread of people that were in that audience, it's
there's I think you're right about that. I think it would. I think when you say full time, it's more time than I have right now to devote to it.
I think that's true.
And I agree with. I do think that. Yeah, I do think that in the right hands, in the right circumstances, there's probably a way to make all that work somehow.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's all I got there. Yeah. John, you mentioned you're getting ready to get back to work, though. You're getting antsy.
Yeah, I'm ready. Like I'm having to hold off on not doing, like I'm doing the minor, like the blog posts and the email lists, and but I'm stopping myself from doing anything else because I want to get to that point. But I'm ready to. I'll pretty soon here in a couple weeks. I'll be back in full swing, and I'm gonna really start putting the metal to the pedal, the pedal to the metal. So it's crazy. Yeah, I've been reading. I read a really good book called "The Obstacle Is the Way." Mm-hmm. You guys saw that?
I felt like some of your blog posts have been some of your blog posts and emails and videos have been all directed at me.
Sounds like you're the right person to be on John's mailing list, Josh.
Yeah, there was the one email that actually was to us.
Yeah.
Right.
The blog post. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yes.
You even started it out. You just copy and pasted it, man.
Exactly, I did. I copied and pasted it. Well, it's interesting because I think I don't know, as I've been reflecting on things and people think I'm getting into the New Age movement or something because I read The Power of Now, but there's just like some good concepts about being present in the moment and like not worrying about the future and then I guess if I'm anything, I'm going into the Stoic philosophy, which is basically more of looking at things from your actions and not from the results, like to be able to be in control of yourself and let the results come as they come. Like you can only control what you control. But I've been coming to realize that there's a lot more that you can do if you are in control of of your own mind, and you're like, it doesn't matter what other people are doing. It doesn't matter what people say. It matters what you actually see and do. And if you follow through, and if you have the perseverance, and if you are willing to overcome the obstacles, that you're going to be successful. Like it's only when you give up that you fail.
Right.
And you know, I don't know. It's interesting just listening. I started reading Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
Mm-hmm.
And really interesting stuff there, like just you know, that encourage you to be perseverant, to realize what attributes are really important, and
right.
And you know, like I said, I think I was really impressed that you're like, you know, you're calling these people, you know, cold calling essentially,
seriously.
and and it's like you can't eat, like that's to me that's the thing that's going to grow you the most, is like going through the painful experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just going to make you more successful in general. So,
this week I was reading, last week, so I also subscribe. I'm like basically all in with Perry Marshall, so I apologize for talking about him incessantly. But I basically, you know, I've been like buying a lot of his stuff lately. But I'm on his newsletter now, and he did this amazing, like 32-page issue where he recounted his 6 years with Amway. Like he drank the Kool-Aid, and he spent 6 years and almost ruined his marriage, you know, like trying to make this thing work. And it taught him, like he says he wouldn't trade it for anything. It was horrible. And, you know, he was working like 60 or 80 hours a week. He was doing a full-time job and doing Amway in the evening, and he'd drive 5 hours to meet with somebody, you know. And it was really interesting because I've never read too much about Amway, but they use religion and they use patriotism to really to sucker people in. Like he said, he went to one rally and they all held hands and sang "God Bless America" while American eagles flew across the auditorium. I mean, like real live. You know, this was like a huge production, and but it was just a sham. It was basically it was an info product business with an exterior that looked like a real product business, but it just, the economics of it could never work. But he spent 6 years in this, but it taught him the stuff, you know, the stuff that I'm trying to learn now, is like, you know, the fortitude to just talk to people and be bold. And then like, he got out of that and went into, you know, some regular sales stuff, and it was like, it was amazing because people actually wanted the stuff he was selling, and suddenly it was like easy.
Right.
And that's kind of how I feel a little bit about this, is like, you know, I've been pitching stuff for a long time to people and having some success, but now I've got some stuff that people actually want that I'm pitching, and suddenly it's easier for me to approach them, and they're more likely to talk to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's still uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I'm also planning to do some. I'm gonna probably do some speaking, which will be horrible. I'm thinking of joining the Chamber of Commerce and doing some speaking. So
I like it. That's a good idea.
I will probably throw up beforehand, but you know.
But yeah, I would definitely recommend the Obstacles Away. It was good. Ryan Holiday, who wrote it, he actually mentored under Robert Greene and Tim Ferriss. In fact, he's got an interview with Tim Ferriss at the end.
Yeah, I recognize that name. Yeah, he was like he was the intern. He helped do. I think he was the one that helped Tim do one of his book launches. So
I think that's right. Yeah. But
Derek's tuned out completely.
Yeah, suddenly I don't care about that book anymore. I'm not going to buy it. Tim Ferriss, nope.
He's got some, I don't know. It's interesting. I have I like some of what he said. Like I can kind of see that.
I think there's value in a lot of what Tim Ferriss says. I just can't get past him being a marketing sleazebag.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's John rising to Tim's defense.
Some of the promises aren't delivered.
Right.
But anyway, I mean, the biggest thing that I'm gathering is just this idea of like stop being so discouraged. Like just like think about like you are going to be successful. Like, don't worry about the results so much. Just like focus on like doing what you need to do, and you will get there. Like, don't change directions.
Yeah.
Don't do like all these things. Just realize that there's going to be a bunch of failures. Like, these obstacles are the good thing that are coming your way, that are like guiding you towards the right path. They're hardening you. They're like there's other
lessons to be learned to show you
non-monetary
what the right
aspects.
things to do.
Yeah, and I think that's the key. There's like all these non-monetary aspects of things that you can get caught up and say, well, this is not working, or so and so says this and whatnot, and instead of focusing on like, man, you're growing as a person, you're growing like from other angles, and you are making progress forward, and that the book definitely hits home with that. But a lot of the Stoic kind of principles are really really interesting, like just for entrepreneurs and in general to be hardened to that. Like, it's because it's tough, right? You have to have that mental toughness. That's the key. The key thing that causes people to drop is that they don't have the mental toughness to stick it out. I also actually got another good book while I'm on my. It's I don't know if you guys, are you familiar with Tynan? Tyna. Oh, I sent you blog posts from this guy, right? This guy's awesome. He wrote a book on habit. It's like a self-published on Kindle.
Okay.
I'll have to. But excellent book on developing habits, which is like so critical too. His philosophy on habits I thought it was ingenious. Never heard this before, but he said, like, you have how you have limited willpower. He talked about how you basically like use that willpower to invest in developing a habit, and then the habit becomes autopilot and it doesn't require willpower anymore. So that frees up the willpower to create a new habit, which is such an awesome concept, because I realized that. I mean, I don't know if you guys, I don't know if I told you guys, but since I've been here in Hawaii, since I left, I've been fasting breakfast and lunch every single day.
Yeah, you mentioned that last week.
I developed the habit of it. It's no problem now. It's so easy. Like, I'm not even tempted to eat until 5 o'clock, which is, it might seem a little crazy, but it's the habit has become ingrained. It's been like over a month and a half, and so that's. But
Nice.
Interesting, and really interesting.
Yeah, that's also why, like, it's not a good idea to try. Like, a lot of people try to change. Like, that's why a lot of people fail with fitness and stuff. Is you try to change everything at once. Like, a lot of fitness programs are like, change your diet, and you need to sleep more, and you need to take all these supplements, and you need to eat. So it's like, it's just there's
overwhelming.
There's too many. You're trying to do too many habits changes at once.
Yeah. And he has this thing, probably the most valuable thing that I found in the book was he was talking about like establishing habits and stuff. And he said, try not to ever miss. But he's like, it's okay to miss once, but never miss twice. Never, ever. You're done if you miss twice. And so I thought that was kind of the interesting, like, if you keep that in your mind when you're developing a habit, like, it's like, let's say you want to start running or eating healthy, it's like, okay, you have to try to never miss once, obviously, but if you miss once, you have to make it your next goal for the next day. Is the most important thing on your schedule now is not to miss twice.
Right.
And I think just developing that philosophy alone to habit building is enough to make people that have failed at habit building before successful.
That's really good.
I like that. It reminds me of the Jerry Seinfeld story about writing comedy, practicing jokes, and using a giant calendar and putting an X on the calendar every day that you spend an hour doing it. And after a year of doing it, you look back and you see a week, a month, a year of X's across every single day, and you don't want to break that chain. It's like, oh man, exactly. I've done it for this long. I don't want to break it. I better do it.
Derick, how has your experiment with doing one thing at a time, or for more focused weeks, been going?
Yeah, one more focused thing. It's going really well, actually. I think this is going to work out well for me, at least for the near future. I'm really thankful to you guys for talking me into trying this out. Last week, like I said on the podcast, was pretty difficult for me. I had a hard time staying focused on Watch Me Code, and I constantly wanted to be working on Signal Leaf. This week, I'm finding it very easy to stay focused on Signal Leaf when I'm not doing my other weekly scheduled things. So I mean, even this morning, I cranked out this new feature that I just emailed to all my customers about, and found it. You know, it was hard for me to sit down this morning and get started because I was tired. I stayed up too late last night playing Destiny with some friends of mine. But once I got started, it was really easy to focus, really easy to get into this and to stay on it. And I mean, it's been the whole week like that for me with working on Signal Leaf related things. And I've cranked out marketing materials. I got all of Signal Leaf's email marketing moved over to Drip and completely off of MailChimp now, including the autoresponder for the ebook. I started putting together a autoresponder campaign for new customers and for people that want to that want to get started in podcasting, which I put up a new blog post on image sizes and podcast cover art, the image size and why you need it, and the kind of things that need to be in there, and a link to Fiverr on so you can go find somebody to build the image for you. I turned that blog post into part of my autoresponder sequence for people that want to get started in podcasting. So I mean, I got a crap load of stuff done with Signal Leaf this week. Got several new features, not new features, several tweaks to existing features done on Signal Leaf to make it easier, a little bit easier to use, and am generally feeling really good about this week overall from having focused on just the one thing and done a lot of work just on that one thing.
Are you doing another Signal Leaf week next week, or is it?
No, next week is going to be Watch Me Code again.
All right.
I'm going to try and alternate Signal Leaf and Watch Me Code for through mid-October, and if I can do that, and if I can keep my Watch Me Code schedule the way that I have it planned out, then I'll have my entire the rest of the year of Watch Me Code videos recorded by the end of October, by the middle of October, and I won't have to think about Watch Me Code again until sometime in December, when I'll start panicking again, wondering if I'm going to do episodes.
Nice. Well, I wonder if you could. I mean, once you get caught up like that, I wonder if you could just like do a every fourth week, and then you never panic.
Right. It's probably a good idea.
Yeah. So it's just a steady drip throughout the year, and you're not having to crush it in any
right. Time. Yeah, I'm really liking this focus on one thing each week. It's working out really well for me, because I had previously tried one day at a time. You know, Monday will be Signal Leaf, Tuesday will be consulting, Wednesday will be Watch Me Code, and that didn't work out for me at all.
Yeah.
Well, doing it across a week has given me a lot more time. I can start something on Monday and continue it on Wednesday and finish it on Friday.
Cool. Yeah. That's awesome. So are you able to plan out your week a little bit more?
Yeah. I had some of it planned out on Sunday, and then Monday I sat down and looked at what I wanted to get done and planned it out in a little more detail. Ended up adding a handful of things that I thought of while I was planning and while I was starting to do work. So I added 4 or 5 additional things to my list this week and still got them all done. So it was nice. It was definitely a good, productive week. I wonder if this OmniFocus will tell me everything that I got done this week. There's got to be a...
If not, maybe you could write a plugin.
Yeah, there's got to be a way to review. Is that it? Review? No, it doesn't look like it. There's a forecast to look forward. I don't see a way to look at the history of what I got done this week in OmniFocus. I'll have to look for that more.
Yeah, I can tell your spirits are higher too. I mean, there's something good about you're building your own routine. You're getting into it. You're getting these habits developed that are going to. It just makes you feel more accomplished when you do that.
It definitely does.
Done what you, yeah.
Yeah.
Still frustrated as hell about Watch Me Code subscribers dropping.
But seriously, don't focus on don't focus on that so much, because like, I mean, that's very small. Like, I mean, that's like fighting over like $100 or whatever. I mean, it's not even that, right? Like,
It's I've lost about $300 in revenue in the last 3 months.
Okay,
$300
still.
per month in the last 3 months.
Right.
Focus on making the funnel wider. I mean, are you doing things that are going to get more people?
I don't have
on
the
your
income
site
to be
and
able
your
to do that.
post?
So
Well, I'm not talking about advertising. I'm talking about like in general. Are you building up your audience? Are you building up your blog? Are you building something that's
I'm blogging on
right.
doing technical blogging, doing my weekly career-based blogging, doing all the stuff that I've been doing, so that the audience
Your
is
list is growing. Yeah,
it's just
that's what's going to grow that business.
right.
That's what's going to grow that business ultimately, like long term. That's the thing is, and so you have that. Don't worry about these fluctuations. I mean, if the number drops off to the point where you're like making $500 a month on Watch Me Code, then, or in fact, let's do this right now. Set that number. What is the number where you're actually going to, if it drops to 1,500?
Yep.
Where are you at right now?
Where
you at right now?
2,200.
Okay. If the revenue drops to 1,500.
Well,
then,
let's make it 1,000. I'll say 1,000.
Okay, that's better. Until it hits that number, don't even worry at all. You're not allowed to worry about it. You're not allowed to focus on it. Only when it hits that number, then you're allowed to worry. Until then,
Right.
Just keep on doing what you think you should do, and keep on and pounding out the work, and just
Right.
cruise along. That's the rule. If it hits that number, then you can reevaluate.
Right. And I say 1,000 because at my current, with the way things are going right now, if I'm making less than 1,000 a month on Signal Leaf, it's more cost effective for me to do 10 hours of consulting than 10 hours of Watch Me Code. Because I need Watch Me Code to pay for Signal Leaf.
Yeah.
And if I'm making less than 1,000, it's not paying for Signal Leaf.
Okay. Fair enough.
Nice.
All right.
But yeah, put that in place. Trust me. The reason why I say that is because I do that with the real estate. Because believe me, if you want to go on a roller coaster, have real estate, because what it's some months you get like a big freaking bill, or tenants move out, like all kinds, like, you know, so it swings, right? And that's the thing, or, you know, so I have to, like, okay, well, as long as the 24-month average or 12-month average is at this, and we actually hit like a critical point, like I said, like last week or whatever, and I switched management companies.
Right.
I'm actually in the process of switching over to the new management company, but we should probably wrap this up. We're going all the way.
All right.
All right, guys.
Up with you guys.
All right, guys.
All right. See ya.
See you next week.
Wanna start a business, but you just know how to code. Listen to John, Josh, and Derick as we figure it out. We are the EntreProgrammers, and we'll teach you straight up to be developreneurs.